I was trying to pull the comments open. It killed the whole stream. Oh yeah, we gotta close that. Oh, that's smart. And this is how these chickens will sleep. That's apparently a hungry kitty eating their stuff. There's more kittens. They're just coming out of nowhere. This one's still a little nervous. They like the light. The light keeps them up actually. What's up? No, I accidentally was fucking around with the stream and killed it. I was trying to pull the comments out further. Alright. How's everybody doing? I'm alright. There's it's like sometimes I just don't know what to say. I suppose it's like a flush, right? Like I go make these streams and it's like a whole series in a flush. It's just a big mystery to figure out what they're all about. Why is it even necessary? What is it? It's just like this itch comes inside of me and I have to do this, you know, but then I don't want anybody to see it, right? I just want to like drift away. I just want to change the world and drift away. Hello. Yo, yo, yo. Do you guys know that the end is really close? Or the beginning of beginning of the end. That's close. Yeah. No spoilers. How could I provide any spoiler if I don't know anything? Hmm. What is it that I don't know about the Jews? Hmm? What is it that I don't know? Sometimes I don't know, the reality is very strange. I wonder if other people perceive reality the same way that I do, like the quality of it. I mean, and its spontaneity. I mean, I would have to assume so, right? We would assume that we would experience it the same. The everything in the past for me, it just feels like I can barely remember it. You know, like it just like whiffs away and then dissolves. And the comparison of like how it changed through time is like I always feel like me. I don't remember the person I was the day before. Well, somebody needs help here. Somebody has a pregnant fiance, and they're scared of the world I'm going to have to raise a child in, but ecstatic at the same time. Any advice would be appreciated. Sure. Probably not going to like it. The first thing that I would do is not have your child's blood drawn by not having it in the hospital. I would have the baby at home. Especially if this is a fiance and not a wife. If it's not someone that contains you and completely knows you, and vice versa, you're going to have a really hard time with that because people are very lost. And so I think the biggest thing to understand is that when your child's born, within about 5 seconds, they're going to take your child and they're going to take a DNA sample of his blood. And they're probably going to do it in between when they take it from the mother and when they hand it to the father. It's a pretty quick operation. It's kind of hard to explain this to people because they're so delusional, but you actually have everything that you need to live already, and you don't need anything else. So you don't need a bunch of communists to deliver your kid in a hospital. You don't need vitamin K or fucking eye gel. You don't need fucking shots. You don't need blood drawn. You don't need any of that shit. You don't need anesthetic for your wife. You don't need a C-section. You don't need any of those things. I'm just saying. I would go far enough to suggest that you don't need a birth certificate. The reason being because they're just letting people into the country that are foreigners. But that might be an error in judgment because you may need to prove that you're an American, born on American soil someday. So you might want one. You definitely don't. You don't require social at all. You don't need a social. If you have your kids at your house, if you deliver them yourself, you can still get a birth certificate through a midwife. They can file it with the state and get a birth certificate. Your choice of a social security is entirely on you, no matter what anybody tells you. And you can absolutely refuse it. And your kid can get a social at any time in their entire life. They can be 50 and still get a social. Apply for it and they'll get it right away. I would really recommend giving birth into hot water, like warm water. It's definitely the smoothest that I've ever seen in terms of the process of giving birth, to have a submerged birth in water, and then you pull the baby up. Like as soon as it comes out, you lift it up on the mother's stomach and then pull her up, slide her up, so she's up out of the water, holding the baby. Well, if she's kind of a hippie, that's great because hippies love that kind of stuff. The PKU test. I don't know. There's some midwife websites and like concerned mother websites that really delve into PKU testing that they're kind of easy to show somebody, and they just go through there and read about it, and they'll kind of like expose some of the truth of it, and it's great because they're just like mom-made websites, like homemade websites from moms that are like really into birthing babies, and there's a couple of them out there, and you can find them, and it might help. It might help with the there's just like these moms that are just like, did you know that there's a worldwide DNA base for they're stealing my kid's blood? I can't have that. Like, that's not even healthy, and they're just like making websites about it with like no idea of how deep this shit goes, and they're just like on a superficial level of just like I don't want my baby to be stuck, like actually it works pretty good at like exposing women to the idea of like that they need to be a little bit defensive about their offspring, Anyway, it doesn't always work. You can have a birth and it can kill the mother. You can have a birth and the child can die. You can have a birth and there can be terrible complications where your kid dies after the fact. And these are things that humanity has experienced the entire time that we've been here. And it's not anything new. And no matter how many tubes you stick in your kid, it doesn't change that reality. That is just going to happen when it happens. My only advice there is that if your kid dies, to not be afraid to try again. And not let it intimidate you or think that you've done something wrong because you just lived. And that's like my strongest advice, I think, no matter what, is to not be afraid to try again as much as need be. Yeah, new mothers. So there are massive hormone doses in the placenta, so you can eat the placenta, particularly within like the first week after birth, and you basically have concentrated. I don't know what the analysis is of the the stuff that's in there, but it is like ridiculously powerful concentrations, high concentrations of hormonal stuff that they eat. A mother can consume it uncooked, so you don't cook it because it destroys the complex biophysical compounds that are in there. But if they eat that, it's going to give a huge boost to recovery. That's what it's for. The placenta is a giant MRE that comes out of the vagina, attached to the baby. And especially if you have birth outside in the woods, like that's the only thing that's going to keep you alive, because you're going to be too weak as a woman to go anywhere or do anything if you're by yourself. And so it's like an MRE. Yeah, that's good. I would just say the only thing I would caution against, and it's hard to, it's a fine line to, especially dealing with other people. You got to be really suspicious of other people and the standard procedures, and protect. You need to protect and defend your family. So it's nobody's. Your family is no one's property, nor business, and they don't need to collect any information on you, and you don't need to provide any. And you should be on a highly defensive to create a proper and healthy world for them, because this one outside is ultra destructive. So what else can I tell you? I can tell you that a baby's shit goes from like oily grease stain that's homogeneous, like it looks literally like a black grease gun, like grease out of a grease gun. It goes from that into like 60-year-old man shits in like 24 hours. Whenever it transitions, it's like instant, and that can be kind of like confusing when that happens. Uh, let's see what else. What else about kids? Um, the the other thing that I'll say is that the way that the human mind develops is very special. So, like, you're gonna have pet rock phase at first, right? Which is where you're just trying to keep this kid alive. So, uh, it takes a long time for the kid to actually build the myelin on the brain to separate the different channels, to have acuity for like movement and feeling and things like that. It takes like a long time. It's a constant developmental process. And before that happens, it's very strange. So you really can't. I mean, you cannot view children at all like, like you view adults. They're entirely different, and they are really fragile, and they're totally dependent on you to protect them. They don't have any defenses whatsoever, and the development is really cool. I think it helps. I like to talk to the baby through the stomach, so they get auditory stimulation through vibration in the stomach. So like, I'll make a humming, like a tone, like I'll make like tonal with my voice on the belly, so that it passes through. And I do that a little bit like throughout the pregnancy, so that the baby like recognizes my voice. And it also, you have to think that like every it's an external stimulation that goes through the belly, and so there's a possibility that you could kickstart connectivity and growth that would otherwise wait until it has the stimulation to trigger. Yeah, the mom will know best. As long as she's not, as long as the mom isn't tricked by society, like into giving her child over to the sacrifice of fire. As long as she's using her gut intuition, like, I mean, I'm telling you right now, there's incredible things that happen not only to children that are born, but to the parents, and it's instantaneous. You when that baby comes out, when you see that baby the first time, whenever it is, everything in your life is going to change forever, and it's never going to be the same. It's going to instantly change in a split second. Her life is already changing because she's changing right away, and she's going to continue to change, and then she's going to have a profound change when the baby comes out. She's going to have an equally profound change to you. It's going to be of a different nature, but both of you, the way that you view the world and view yourselves is it's gonna change forever, and it's for the better. It's much better. It's much more rewarding and fulfilling and true than the life of the self. Okay. Somebody wants to talk about Hitler a little bit. Do you want to talk about Hitler? All right. I got one vote for talking about Hitler. Do you guys want to talk about Hitler? Okay, we got a couple. We got a couple of votes here. Okay. All right. So, well, fuck, we're gonna need a bigger dip. Okay, let's. Yeah, they might be trying to get me banned. Who knows? It's I think that's a great place to start. So let's talk about the question first, and let's talk about that last comment. Are they trying to get you banned LMAO, which is a completely both of these are rational statements, right? So, Dugan, can you go more in depth regarding Hitler and the National Socialists? I hear a lot of rumors about Jews funding their political movement for Zionist reasons. What are the key takeaways here? Because from all the studying I've done on the subject, those Germans seem like heroes for the most part. Okay, so that's the question. And you're a big fan of Hitler. And you're putting that out there. Okay, all right, well, that's okay. Well, so I think the really important thing is the follow-up statement that somebody made where they said they're trying to get you, or are they trying to get you banned off of Twitch? LMAO. I think this is probably like a great abstract and profound point to make to start off a conversation about Hitler. That that topics of discussion, things that you can discuss, ideas that you talk about, can cause censorship. Like an idea. Let's break this down logically. If I am a just, righteous thinker in my mind and how I express myself, and if I'm no different than anyone else, then any idea that I would propose would constitute that, assuming I was consistent. And any challenge to that would be any direct challenge from another person would have to withstand the same or surmount it, right? Like be more righteous in order to like defeat a point, right? Or an idea or something like that. And it has to do so in truth. And so the point of this being, like the big idea here is that if you are just and righteous and true, it stands on its own always. And any amount of effort to go against it, if it's not true, it doesn't stand the test of time. It doesn't even stand up to the fight. It yields immediately to the fight. There's no conversation, especially with politics or history or war, that should ever be off limits. Because if let's say you have a person that's really bad, let's say, and we're not going to define bad. We're just going to say that a person that's a person that's considering the matter has decided that a party and an idea is bad. That should be provable and inextinguishable.
that thesis should withstand any attack. Right? And if you're righteous, it should withstand any attack. And so it begs the question, why is it necessary to censor people that talk about Hitler? Do you get what I'm saying? I think that's probably a good way to yeah, it could be. It could be. Some AI could pick up some Hitler stuff, right? Sure. Man, this light is I'm gonna burn through the juice over here. Okay. Cool. Corporal. Corporal Hitler. Okay. So yeah, so okay. Let's you want to talk about Hitler? Let's talk about Hitler. You can't talk about Hitler without talking about Germany. So that's the first. Now I don't know. I've done some extensive videos on Germany over the years, and they're really long, and we can't go over all that material because it would take too long. So we can hit critical points, and then if you have something that's really fuzzy, you can ask it, and we can try to get a coherent picture of things that matter, and try to avoid things that don't matter or are unsubstantiated or like superfluous to any kind of greater point that can be found, right? So let's set out like the bounds first of what we're considering. What we're saying here is that there is a unique property of Germany. Germany, since the Industrial Revolution, became like enemy of the world twice, not once, but twice in rapid succession in, a period of fucking 30 years. So Germany went from being a superpower of the world to being a ruined nation in the same amount of time. And the other thing really unique about Germany's experience is that it's never able to go away. So it's like a permanent thing. So Germany can never be a nation again, and they are kept in their place through economic control by the rest of the world, or influence. Now the bounds of that, like in terms of how that is applicable to this, to talking about the German people to get into Hitler, is because that property is totally unique completely unique of Germany. So it doesn't exist anywhere else. So it doesn't exist. Not only does it not exist for another country in equivalence, it doesn't exist for another people. It doesn't exist in past circumstances that are similar. It is an entirely different phenomenon than everything else, and so this is important to understand that it's unique, the German experience, right, of that nation. That's something to keep in the back of your mind the entire time that you're having any kind of serious discussion about Germany or Hitler, the history of Europe. in the relationship between the West and the Jews. You just can't have any kind of honest conversation that gets anywhere without keeping these things in mind, because they matter. So then we have to look at what the what's the public narrative? What's the correct narrative that's acceptable by the historians and teachers and the governments? Which, by the way, is also important to note that those are all parallel. You know, they're all one and the same. Parallel is not the right word. They're one and the same. So there's a narrative that is acceptable of the history of this and the development. Okay. The narrative goes something like this. We're not really sure why World War I happened, but Germany was way too aggressive. There was an assassination of an Archduke. Germany was over aggressive, and then they aggressed into the rest of Europe, and then it was necessary for the United States to come and bail them out. And the United States was like the big hero and saved the day. And the United States launched into a new. I'm putting together World War I and World War II here, right? The United States went into, after World War II, went into a period of unprecedented growth in technological development. In World War II, it was a double down situation, because not only were the Germans aggressive in World War I, in World War II they tried to kill all the Jews. So the Germans were way too aggressive in World War I against all of Europe, and then by the seat of their pants, the free world, band together and white knuckled and was able to overcome this aggressor. And then they didn't have enough. So in World War II, they decided for no reason at all to kill all the Jews. and as of like the last 5 years, the Holocaust museums in the United States have also let the United States know that, like, the United States, even though they bailed the world out in World War I and World War II, supposedly, even though that's the case, according to the historical narrative, the United States knew a little bit too much about Nazi Germany, and so they're partly at fault for it. That is approximately the narrative. And now that we know that, this lends to further development and creating the picture of the uncomfortable elephant in the room, which is that there is a problem in general with quote unquote white males who are too aggressive against the rest of the world and have kept all the good stuff for themselves, while disadvantageously barring other people from accessing their good stuff and not sharing. And so it's the rest of the world has a duty of moral a greater justice for the world, to, like, slowly, by any means necessary, in a nonviolent way, like, slowly, arduously pry away what things that people who are deemed as being, quote, WHITE, and redistributing that to everybody so that it's a little bit more fair. And that is approximately the narrative of the World War I, World War II historical background. Is there anything that I'm, like, mischaracterizing there, or is that like a super rough generalization of if you could draw a crayon picture of, like, what people think in big cities, especially like major metropolises, and in Europe and in the United States, like at schools, universities, things like that? Is that a fair description, or is that a inaccurate description of a synopsis of what they think? I'm asking for your judgment on it. If that's like an unfair judgment or an inaccurate judgment, or if there's like too much emphasis in one place and not another, you know, or if I'm skipping something, you know, critical here, like in terms of the broad stroke. Well, we haven't even talked about Hitler yet. We haven't. I'm talking about like a broad stroke here of like the relationship between like, you know, the United States and Europe and the Jews. Okay, I've got like 3 people that we have 46 people watching this. I have like 3 people have made a comment and say that that's accurate. Can we get any more? Does anybody disagree that that's not what the general notion is, like in a rough sense? Like if there was a crayon picture that NBC drew that could somehow encapsulate the entire thing in one picture, would the crayon picture look like what I just said? Or the United States government, or the banks, or school, like a fucking an Ivy League school or something, or not even Ivy League, just a general university or a state university. Okay, we got like five. It's still really minimal participation. I mean, that's okay if that's how you want to do it. I just want to give a period. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page so that we're not like blowing past each other here. Missing the historical tension between Brits and Germans. I think you've been heard. I'm not exactly sure what that means. I think I kind of get it, but I don't think it's really a conversation for here. Let's see. I think people who lived in post-World War Germany would have a much different opinion than modern society. Okay, we're starting to get into specifics here. I'm still on the broad stroke. We haven't even gone into it yet. We are setting up our prelude here. Again, we're not talking about specifics. We're just talking about broad stroke. We're talking about the relation. The Germans can't defend themselves. So the Germans lost, so they don't have a voice. So what I'm saying is so the encapsulation of this is that I'm saying like what is the world's view of like, you know, this, like why the things unfolded with Germany and how that plays into the now, like how that's unfolded into the now. And you know, that's where I've integrated the current communist push in the United States. Because it's like one and the same. Because you just had a president called Donald Trump, who was called a Nazi, you know, who was compared to Hitler, and so it's something that's continually brought up and has somehow integrated into the identity of the United States. So, despite the fact that they're the ones that took out Germany, you know, so it's a significant point to bring up that in this whole narrative, the current narrative is that the people who killed and destroyed, I mean, half the people that destroyed Germany are not around anymore. That would be the USSR, you know, by technicality. The nation's not around anymore, technically, by technicality. The United States is still around. So the United States is now like the embodiment of Germany. So somehow, even though they like willingly went and did it twice. So I just want to make sure that it's accurate. Okay. So somebody says, "Yep, that's taught at the Holocaust Museum and in schools." We have a bot in here. Oh fuck, we do have a bot, man. These fucking guys, they just never give up. They're so persistent. Okay. All right. So the comment period has ended for describing the broad scheme of things. We had like pretty much one disagreement, and that's about it. And that was that there wasn't enough emphasis on the relationship with Britain and the history of animosity between Great Britain and Germany. And that was it. And I just opened that up for like 5 minutes for anybody to say anything. Okay, so here we go. We could go back a long ways, and we could go into detail, and it would be a drowning detail. I'm going to take points that I think are probably the most paramount, and if I forget something while I'm going, and then remember it later, I'll jump back if I think it's significant. Other than that, I'm going to try to stay chronological as much as possible, but understand there's going to be like multi-100-year jumps here between events, because some of the periods of centuries are not as significant as others in terms of the development of the history of Germany and the relationship with the United States. Some of those centuries are not as significant as others in terms of the effect, and so I'm gonna skip over some of that stuff for brevity. It's going to focus mostly on the wars. It's going to focus mostly on the relationship between the Germans and the Americans, and the relationship between the Germans and the Jews. I'm going to touch a little bit on the relationship between the Germans and the other Europeans, but it's minimal because the Europeans aren't really in control here. And so what they think doesn't really matter. Is that fair? Or is there a different approach that we need to go? And I'll talk a little bit about Mussolini. Okay, he's really quite a minor figure, but I guess we can touch on Mussolini if we need to. And the relationship between Russia does have an interesting relationship between both the Holy Roman Empire, the United States, and the rest of Europe. So it would be worth something to discuss Russia. Also, the number of Jews in Russia that immigrate to Israel later in the latter development of this would be significant to mention. Okay, so I've got a yay here. I don't really have any nays. I've got some people that want some tidbits added. We could probably go on this like this forever. So I'm just gonna try to get started here. Okay, so where you really have to get the like the beginning, the way to properly talk about Germany, where to start is their incursions into the Roman Empire. So at this point, we're talking about Germania, right? And we're talking about the provinces of the Romans into Germania in the northern territories at the end of the Roman Empire and the transition into the Holy Roman Empire. And it is significant for a couple of reasons. Number one, the first thing that's most significant is that when the Germans sack Rome, it is approximately coinciding with like the hard downturn of Rome, to where Rome is like not going to be able to recover. You know, they still have some steam for a while to stick around, but they're never able to regain empire in the same way. It's just a constantly dissolving thing until they transition to the Holy Roman Empire, which is an entirely different thing that is like the remnants of the Roman Empire power being shifted into a different character. I'm not going to go into like Charlemagne and Christianity because it's way too big of a topic. It's super fucking confusing for Europeans. And I just don't want to waste time on it because we're not going to get anywhere with Germany. The only part about that I might mention is maybe stuff about Martin Luther. But the point being is that the Romans really gave the Jews a hard time. So if you don't know anything about the Jews, so the temple of the Jews is a big deal. They've had 2 so far. They've been destroyed. The last one to get destroyed was destroyed by essentially the Romans. It's like how it begins. And it really kind of that sort of thing really settles the account of the Romans being against the Jews and the Jews being against the Romans forever and ever, and it never ends. So it's like a locking horns to the death, and only one of them is going to survive. The other one is not, and that's just the way that it is. And so that whole event really settled that. Now, prior to that, the Jews did have some like direct engagements, but they really like taper off, and then without like directly suggesting anything, but allowing the room for you to read between the lines, the Jews start to once the power in Rome starts to kind of sag a little bit, the Jews kind of get quiet and dissolve a little bit and disappear, and then you get the eventuality of like the Germans coming way down and like fucking sacking Rome. So they're like going way down south out of fucking nowhere and sacking the shit out of Rome. At this time they're not Germans. There's not like a German nation, and I'm not going to get into semantics of all the different forms of the German empires. But it's an important thing. This Roman period is important because it really marks the beginning of recorded German history, like at least from like an external standpoint. Everything else, like prior to this, is very esoteric and vague, and it's difficult to draw any meaning out of it, especially related to this topic. So the Germans sack Rome. There is a possibility that the reasons that the Germans had any interest in Rome was through interaction with the Jews. So there's not hard historical fact to that, and so you need to take that with a grain of salt. And you can do your own research and investigation to decide if that's correct or not. What I said there could be misinformed. I wouldn't know because I didn't fucking live in Roman times. What I can tell you is that the fucking Germans were taking the outposts of the Romans that were going up north, and they were like fucking sacking the shit out of them and destroying entire legions. So this would be we're going to have to go back to Missouri here. So Hermann, Missouri is a German town here in Missouri. It's on the opposite end of the Lafayette and Saline County. It's more close to St. Louis, and it is a German town, and it's called Hermann because Hermann because Hermann is actually a German version of the word Arminius, and Arminius is an ancient German who is it's actually a Roman name. So one of the German tribes had a super Saiyan soldier who got trained and conscripted into the Roman military, and was given the Roman name of Arminius. His real name isn't known because this is like on the cusp of like recorded history. but it is believed to be entirely factual, and it has a significant role in the sacking of Rome and shit like that. But Arminius, he worked both for the expeditionary forces of Rome, because they were like a international government at this point, and so they integrate in certain respects with like peoples of the land. And so the Germanic people have satellites and outposts that are intermingled with the Romans, and this is where Arminius comes into play. Arminius is it ends up not working out between him and the Romans, and he ends up like destroying legions. So it's the first the legions have the little golden eagle, and they fucking take that shit, which is something that's unprecedented. It just doesn't happen, and the Romans take it super seriously. They chase after the golden eagle, so they send out forces to go recover it. Those forces don't come back. So it's like he's considered by Germans to be like a military genius. Ends up getting killed by disputing factions in the Germanic tribes, and it's believed that the people who killed him, it had to do with like them being funded to assassinate him by money. So the dude is like he's like the ransom to Rome as a hostage as a child. He's conscripted into the military. He does really well in the military. He's regarded highly. A lot of that stuff is really vague historically, so it's known that it's most likely correct that this is like a real person. The account is factual. The effect on the German society is huge, and that is the reason that there is a German town in Missouri called Hermann that's actually named after Arminius. So just to give an idea of like we have George Washington and stuff like that, the Germans have Arminius. Okay, just to set up the psychology of the Germans. Okay, so you can get backstory on this stuff. It's a tragic story. So it's like the tragic revenge and justice story. Well, that's not the point of this, so we're not going to go into it super deep, but it is worth mentioning, so you can check it out. All right. So anyway, the next thing that I'm going to touch on is probably the relationship between Germany and the United States during the Revolutionary War. I don't want to get super into the Revolutionary War because I don't want to get all over the place. But what I'm going to say is that the like the hussars and cavalry mercenaries from Germany are getting hired out, and they're being employed by Great Britain. So Great Britain is hiring foreign mercenary armies out of Germany to come to the United States. They didn't do super good in the United States. They did okay. They were here in the French and Indian Wars. That was when they were especially prevalent, was during the French and Indian Wars. As it goes into full-blown Revolutionary War, they become less and less prevalent. But just to mention that background on the relationship between Germans and Americans. After that period, so we become a country in 76, and then shortly after that, you get the 1800s that rolls around, and you get the entire period of like the Civil War, which we touched on a little. The golden era of the Civil War there, over in Blackwater Creek, but a lot of things happened in the Civil War with the backwork, all of the backwork necessary to launch the entire world into a new paradigm, a technological revolution, which would be oil. So what's significant to understand that is not pointed out in history books about oil and the Industrial Revolution is that because it's such a big thing, because it requires the participation of all the little societies and reorganization of society in general. And if that doesn't happen in a fast enough pace, it can stall. Like the entire process can stall. And so this is really important because it's not really like a perspective of historians, but it is the case. Like what is going on with the Rockefeller era is that they're going around and buying up oil everywhere to like lay the groundwork to then unleash the Industrial Revolution like a fucking head flip. You know what I mean? Like nobody has control. It's just like boom, 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 boom. You know, internet porn. Whoa. You know, it's just fucking like the equivalent. It's just like nobody has any idea how significant and how much change is going to take place. And this goes all the way into Germany. So Germany is, especially during the Industrial Revolution, Germany is going through its own revolution with technology and is in exactly the right spot to do it. Germany has a shitload of Jews in it, and so they're on the reason that Germany goes through a technological revolution is because they have so many, you know, money financed Jews in Germany that they are increasing the velocity of currency and rotation, and so it's causing the rate of change is concentrated, and that's very similar. You can see that everywhere. It's something that's not really discussed in like political science or economics, generally to the public. But like one of the relationships between like change in a society has to do with the like the money source, like where the money source is, and the velocity of currency as it exchanges, and the difference to that would be like in a rural county, for instance, if you have a guy spending like $5 every week, it's just not the same as like somewhere where the same $5 bill gets spent every 30 seconds. You know, like there's just too much exchange. It requires dramatic changes take place and displacement. And so of everything has to change, right? When you get that kind of dramatic stimulation. So this is like what took place in Germany, because it's one of the like central hubs of where global finance comes out of. And so Germany is like host to this. And so they enjoy all of the technological advancements of the rest of the world while they're kind of under the radar. And this would be up to the 1800s. And they go through several wars with their European neighbors, namely France. You get animosity between France and Germany, and Britain and Germany develop in their wars. You get the settling of this is really through the technological development of arms through Krupp, through Krupp guns, who is engaged in war armament for Germany up until World War II. It's a dynasty. It's a German weapons dynasty. Okay, so now that's just kind of like the background to understand this whole thing is like a dizzying change that like nobody has any control over. It's just like this, like something fucking set off of fucking one of these little chicken sparkler things. It's just and everybody's just standing back watching this little chicken sparkler like go on its wheels, zoom around, and nobody knows what to think, and we're just all waiting to find out what the show means. And where it stops is that Germany is very, very wealthy. Germany has is really arguably the premier superpower in the world at the I'd say at like the late 1800s up until prior to World War One. But Germany is the premier superpower of the world. They have the best technology. They have the cutting edge of everything. Their products are considered superior by the entire world. Their manufacturing capability and their precision, and just like how refined the products are, their everything. Their science is advanced beyond anyone else's. And this really, it kind of stays like that with. I mean, you get a dip in it with Weimar, but it really stays that way up until World War II. And in some ways after World War II, in certain pockets in Germany, it still remains like that today. But I mean, it's certainly they're certainly not an empire like they used to be. Let's see. Let's see. Who says take your meds? Do we just get like random trolls in here or what? Is that like a serious is that like a comment to me? Joke's on you, because I refuse to take my meds, bitch. Because I am taking some meds. I'm eating your fucking chewing tobacco right here. So, you know. It says right here, chewing tobacco isn't addictive, so it's fine. It's fun. All right. So let's continue on. Where were we? Where this whole discussion is from a viewer comment for insight on Hitler, particularly on Hitler's relationship to Zionism. In order to discuss that, I'm kind of discussing some of the points that are less known about the history of the Germans. Probably the most important point that needs to be made next is the relationship between Germans and the Jews. It's a really dramatic point, and it really can't be understated, because it's central in the entire picture of World War I and World War II. And obviously, right? Like if you don't know that, you should at least be able to figure that from the Holocaust, right? It's like necessitated, that fact that there's a very significant relationship between the Germans and the Jews, and the nature of it isn't really expounded on in history, in colloquial history taught in schools, and it's way beyond anything that most people have come to learn. And so without the understanding, the entire thing is just disjointed nonsense, just mumbo jumbo, fucking trash in your brain. Nothing really makes sense, and it's just kind of like, and this is the way that it happened. Got it? Once you understand and know the history between Germany and the Jews, the entire flow makes sense. Like it's just complete. It's like fucking watching the sunrise and set. Like it just fucking makes sense, and it all works. And you really don't have to be a fucking rocket scientist to like understand it. You're just like, yep, that's a sunset. It makes sense. So I think that's where we should start this next part. So the approximate relationship between the Germans and Jews, particularly if we go into the end of the 1700s, when Germany is going through this massive revolutionary technological growth, and inner fighting between its neighbors for dominance. and the fall of the Holy Roman Empire, and the interwarring between the factions of the Holy Roman Empire, which is really a completely different topic, but a really good insight into that. If you want to know more, is a Jewish publication written by Selma Stern in 1950. It's highly recommended. It's called The Court Jew, and The Court Jew is a very in-depth Jewish historical work about the role of Jewish court Jews in practically every single monarch in the period of absolutism in the Holy Roman Empire. Both their roles in supplying war armament and how they move around as the territories change due to inner conflict between the remnants of the Holy Roman Empire. And so I highly suggest it. I think it's an authoritative title coming from Jewish Historical Society publications. And there's no Jews that have said that it's inaccurate at all. And it's been around since 1950. So I'd say it's a very authoritative text on the matter. It's called The Court Jew, Selma Stern. I think it's publication 1950. You'd have to look that up. Anyways, man, this is going to be a long stream, guys. Oh well, I guess it's what we need to do. It's what's asked for. We'll talk about it. Germany, basically, to make a longer story. I need to go fucking get some booze too. Maybe we should do that. Should we go for a car ride and go get some booze? All right, there we go. There's a link. There's a link to the book. Right there. You get it off Amazon. Car ride. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go buy some fucking beer. All right. I'm gonna bear with me here. Shit, I don't have a wallet. I don't have a wallet, guys. I don't have a wallet. No, I don't have red light. We could pop Kim lights. Should we do Kim lights? All right. So if we're gonna do the truck stream, I'm gonna have to go get Kim lights and a wallet. So, are you guys good with hanging out here for a minute, or should we just skip that and just keep going? Fuck, I don't know. Hopefully we can buy beer. What time is it? Is it late as fuck? I don't know. Can somebody look up? Can you get beer in Missouri after 10:30? Can somebody look it up? I don't want to fucking drive all the way to the gas station if they don't have beer after 10:30. Yeah, is it good? Is it good to go? 10:30. When's it cut off? Because I think today's, yeah, we should be good, right? Yeah, well, we're good. But it's Monday, right? Okay. I'm going to go get Kim lights and a wall. I'll be back. Here, I'll put it on a scenery. I'll put it on a scene so you can. Nope, that's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. You're just gonna have to fucking hang out. Sorry. Trying to make a cool picture. Okay, we've only got we've only got yellow chem lights. That's all we could find. So we're good to go. We got yellow chem lights, and we are gonna go on the road here with the illumination. You're not gonna be able to see my face, but unfortunately for you, but you will understand my. You are going to understand my azimuth disposition of my head in comparison to my body, because I have motherfucking yellow chem lights hanging off my hat. Let's go for a ride. There's a really funny story. I got pulled over a couple. This is actually a while ago. I don't remember when. It was a while ago. It was probably over 6 months ago. I got pulled over for I don't know what it was. A taillight, I think, maybe. Hang on. Don't want to wake people. I put my head close to the car so I can see the lock. It's actually really handy. I think I just found a new product. I think I just found a new product that the Jews can make a big logo about and sell on Amazon. It's all these fucking goalie fucking Kim Light hat. All you have to do is put your head by something you see. Alright, let's go for a ride. Is that beer in my car? Okay, good. It's not beer. That's good, because I don't want beer in the car, because I think that they don't even like that. So anyways, we're gonna take the long way here. I'm gonna throw in a charger. I got pulled over like 6 months ago, and it was I'm not smart enough to use a USB port. There we go.